So what is taking place with Indigenous, the women who are going missing, right? What is happening? Because if you have, let me see, uh, you know, there's been in question if there could have been, we know that there have in fact been murders or suicides. Like there was one individual that was found under a bridge, right? And it was in question of by her family, you know, surrounding community and all the rest. Did she commit suicide or was she murdered, right? The mysteriousness of indigenous women, them going missing, right? The Because you would have to go deeper into, like investigating pertaining to, the background, their background, the land, what's involved with the land or what was involved with the land, right? Could that pinpoint to disappearances, right? It's all sort of things that you would wonder, because that doesn't seem right. Indigenous women. There's not a whole lot of males that are going missing. They're in fact women, right? That just seems kind of strange because with women, I question things like that pertaining to land in the history that involve land, because to have so many indigenous women going missing is to say, well, that involves pregnancy, women. It involves pregnancy, you know, not so many births coming about, not so many babies or so, right? Because to have so many women going missing is to say less children being born, right? Is there a motive behind that? Them going missing, right? Remains of Gabby Petito were found in Wyoming. She was a missing person until FBI discovered her remains, right? Uh, but what's odd about Gabby's disappearance when such occurred is Gabby went missing in Wyoming, as I stated, yet it's the same state in which more than 700 indigenous people were reported missing between 2011 to 2020, right? And those missing persons consisting of girls and women. Around 85% were children and 57% female, according to the state's missing and murdered indigenous people task force. That was stated by the task force, right? Only about 30% of homicide cases involving indigenous individuals were covered by media, whereas 50% of white victims were covered by media. Such was stated by Kara Chambers. She's chair of the task force, right? That being an issue of not only the women going missing, but as well as media, right? 30% of homicide cases involving indigenous individuals were covered by media, whereas 51% of white victims were covered by media. There's an When I say issue pertaining to media coverage, not fully stating, the indigenous women being missing versus, white women or white males going missing, right? That sort of thing, yeah. Social media is good for that, but for all types of individuals speaking out about that sort of thing, about the women going missing, but more so too, media should be more involved in the coverage of missing persons, of indigenous individuals, right? But when that sort of thing becomes an issue of there not being enough coverage by media, not covering missing person stories of indigenous individuals, it leads to them, indigenous people, becoming hesitant to report their people being missing, right? And that's what the chair of the task force was speaking on, right? Chambers, that individual I called out, right? She feels media not reporting more missing persons of the indigenous. Uh, that not being done fully discourages the indigenous people from reporting crimes, right? That sort of thing would lead to being discouraged from reporting crimes that's going on, rapes or murders or right amongst the indigenous, because sometimes if things are not being done, it leads to a fear. Things lead to a fear, which leads to your actions not going and reporting crimes, right? So activists hold protests. They do, right? They hold protests, marches, and provides information on social media in relation to their mission and fight for missing indigenous persons, uh, both who are alive and dead. When I said dead, many murdered, right? Many murdered victims, right? The number of missing indigenous women is so high that in April, Secretary Deb Haaland created a unit within the Bureau of Indian Affairs to address the problem. There's just, yeah. I might in fact need to do more videos pertaining to them going missing, because there's something about that which doesn't seem right. I don't know. You have you because see, that's not just in Wyoming. I'm thinking of Winona Ryder. I seen her face as soon as I said that, right? It, the missing disappearances of indigenous people, right? More so females, it's not just happening in Wyoming, Canada, Montana. This is where it's like it's almost as if there's like, I don't know. I was gonna I almost said cult, right? I almost stated cult, as if there's a cult or something outside of these individuals that's going missing, right? You can have, you can go through their history, as I said before, and then people that are against, their culture and stuff like that. There might be individuals that are not totally into agreement of indigenous people, the women or something, right? Because see, some would ask, well, is there something, you even cult within, right? Some would ask, well, Wyoming being a location, Canada, Montana, various locations, right? Is there something going on within? Is there something going on within, and is it not outside or outward, right? Because see, some of these individuals have been murdered by their boyfriends, right? Some have committed suicide, some have been on drugs, right? It's, yeah. Because see, Gabby, the missing person in which I spoke on, right? Her remains being found, right? Her boyfriend is in question, right? You have FBI and investigators going in to try to see on her boyfriend, right? Is it within internal more so than out outsiders being involved or so, right? I could be questioning this sort of thing all day. I don't know why cults jumped out in mind. Cults. Cults. A cult. Not a cult. Cults. You know, because see, to have groups of people, every person thinks different. If there were or is a cult in various locations, whether it's internal or whether it's on the outside, right? People killing these women, right? It's to know people think differently if there's a cult or were a cult or something involved. There has to be something, because you don't have there. That's why I'm keep going back to the cult, because Wyoming, Montana, Canada. It's not like there's one individual traveling to these places. They could be traveling to these different locations, killing these women. Cults. Would there be killers? Killer cults. Not the indigenous people. It could be, right? Some don't question that. Could we have people amongst us that are in fact killers within the indigenous individuals, right? Cults with that, right? Do we have killers amongst us? You know, when you go back in history, were there killers in that? Because if there were killers in that, there would have been even more deaths back in the past, just as much as they are now. But when it comes to media, social media, and all the rest of the internet, remember back in the days, things weren't reported as much and seen and known pertaining to internet, allowing us to know versus today. Maybe this could have been going on years ago, but now because we have technology, it's more known or something. When I spoke on from the year between 2011 to 2020, how it seems like there were more women being murdered, right? Yeah, there's just some type of issue, right? We're on investigationdiscovery.com. The ID logo stands in the far left corner. Live now, Evil Twins. New episodes. To receive access, to gain access, to provide who you're subscribed to is locked down for that. You would, in fact, gain access to that sort of thing. Unlocked episodes. To receive a preview for this is a click the play button. Cults. Cults. A cult of some sort. ID Go original series. Recommended for you. Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda as well as Paula. To receive a newsletter from Investigation Discovery is to type your email address in and click next, and you would in fact receive that. So, dear viewers, let me know what you think and feel about the video. Let me know what you think and feel about these missing persons. Indigenous people going missing, the females. Females more so than males. Females even more so than a lot of their children, right? They're in fact precisely targeting the females, right? Let me know what you think and feel about that. So may you enjoy your day. I will in fact enjoy mine, and I'm gone for now. 1.